Our topic is effective communication hangouts. So there are a number of hangouts which we have to follow. First one is learn to listen. This is advice given in theater and improvisation classes. If we expected you to react properly to what is said to you, then you have to give it the correct attention. The hard part is to be able to both focus both on listening and preparing your answer. If you don't want to forget an idea you just thought about when listening, you can ask for a moment, write it down quickly, and focus back on your interlocutor. It can not only lead to a healthier discussion. Next is you have to over communicate just to communicate. Trappers estimate that 50% of the songs trapped would be correctly identified. In reality, only 2.5% of the songs are correctly identified. The study shows that it is important to communicate clearly and to over communicate when sharing new ideas. As this study indicates, it is likely that the audience will fail to absorb as much as you expect. For one is avoid relying on visual aids. Be prepared to use words, compiling storytelling and non-verbal cues to communicate your point with the audience. Avoid using visual aid using absolutely necessary. Next is put yourself in other people's shoes. Just imagine for a second that what is said to someone is said to you instead. How would you react? How would you feel in a certain situation? Understanding or at the least paying attention to what your teammates can feel will help you at the work every day. This is called empathy, and I believe it's extremely useful when people working in a team. Try humility. We humans have a bad habit of trying to shine in the presence of others. Doesn't it feel nice to be recognized by your peers, to make everyone laugh at your jokes, to appear like an irreplaceable piece in the team? Certainly. I want, however, to emphasize the problem with this particular character trait. It creates an environment where everyone tries to accentuate his own success, whereas what really matters is the success of the team. Ask for honest feedback. As with most leadership skills, receiving honest feedback from peers, managers, and members of your team is critical to becoming a better communicator. If you regularly solicit feedback, others will help you to discover ideas for improvement that you might have otherwise overlooked. Next is engage the audience in discussion. Regardless of how compelling the speaker is, all audience have limited attention spans. To become a more effective communicator, make presentation and discussions interactive. Ask the audience a question. Encourage people to call out their thoughts during a brainstorming session, or at the very least, ask hypothetical questions to stimulate the audience. Don't write talk. You probably can resolve issue over a written discussion, but how much time would you have wasted? Muster your courage, pick up your phone, or get up and talk to people. Sure, you really don't want to disturb programmers every other 5 minutes. If the issue that at hand is not really urgent, you can still write a note so you won't forget your idea. Accept the fear. Do you fear to speak in public and do presentations? Why doesn't? Instead of thinking of as an unpleasant chore, try to consider it an opportunity, engage with people and share your knowledge. Anyway, focus on your fears can only make them worse. Focus instead on what you have to say and how important it is for your audience to know about it, how it can help them in their daily programmer life. Next is start and end with key points. Think back to the tappers and listeners study mentioned earlier. Clear communication is of paramount importance to ensure that the audience understands the key takeaway from a presentation. Retreat. key points at the start and finish. This can also be accomplished by providing attendees with a one-pager that includes key points the audience should consider throughout the presentation. Get to know your audience. To communicate effectively, it is important to get to know your audience first. Each audience is different and will have different preferences and cultural norms that should be considered when communicating. A good way of understanding expectations is to ask members